Trump's border wall could be bad for the environment. If the Trump administration's proposed border wall goes ahead with construction, this could threaten Texan plant and wildlife. According to NPR, the federal spending bill approved in September includes $1.6 billion in 2019 for wall construction, which could begin as early as February. In October, the Department of Homeland Security issued a waiver to 28 laws protecting public lands, wildlife, and the environment so that construction could go ahead. In July, scientists published a paper highlighting the negative impacts of the border wall on wildlife, saying that it would eliminate, degrade, or fragment habitats. A wall would block access to water and food and inhibit seasonal migrations. Phys.org reports in March other researchers published a letter in the journal Frontiers of Ecology and the Environment, expressing worry the wall could damage the increasingly rare Tamaulipan thorn scrub ecosystem. Other species that would be affected are the endangered wildflowers Zapata bladderpod and the threatened whiskerbush cactus. Researchers say negative impacts could be reduced by limiting physical barriers and accompanying roads. Meanwhile, alternatives such as structures that allow animals to pass through and electronic sensors could be considered. These will be the best videos ever. Period.
China and Russia listening to Trump's iPhone calls. It appears that President Donald Trump continues to use unsecured iPhones to talk to his pals instead of using a secure White House line. According to the failing New York Times, Trump has a penchant for using 3 different iPhones. 2 of them have been altered by the NSA to be a bit more secure, while the third is a personal phone. According to anonymous current and former officials, since none of the 3 phones are totally secure, Chinese and Russian spies have allegedly been listening in. It looks as if the Chinese believe that by gathering a list of Trump's personal friends, they'll somehow be able to influence the reality president's stance on things like the ongoing trade war. Good luck with that. Of course, the Russians didn't want to let the Chinese have all the fun, so they too have been dropping in for a listen. Fortunately for the US, most of Trump's conversations are relatively surfacey, and his lack of interest in classified briefings probably means no secrets are getting spilled. Naturally, Trump fired back at the New York Times over Twitter, calling the report fake and saying he preferred using government-authorized hardlines. Unfortunately, that tweet was sent over an iPhone. Oops. Cards Against Humanity buys land to block Trump wall. Cards Against Humanity announced that it has purchased land on the US-Mexico border to obstruct Trump from building his border wall. The Chicago card game company said on its website it was part of a holiday promotion whereby you give them $15 and get 6 surprise gifts that will help save America. The company said, "We've purchased a plot of vacant land on the border and retained a law firm specializing in eminent domain to make it as time-consuming and expensive as possible for the wall to get built." It was sold out on Wednesday morning, only a few hours after the program was launched. Cards Against Humanity says it's trying to save America from injustice, lies, racism, the whole enchilada. Come on, do we really need to be saved from Mexican food? The company hasn't said where the plot is located, but their entertaining YouTube video shows wild horses galloping across an open prairie. Good enough for us. If you build it, they won't come. No, they'll still come. Construction began on 8 different border wall prototype designs on Otay Mesa on Tuesday. Contractors now have 30 days to complete their walls. 4 of the prototypes will be concrete, while the other 4 will be made of various materials. All of the walls will be between 18 to 30 feet high and 30 feet long. 6 contractors from around the country were picked to build the prototypes. Their bids range from $300,000 to $500,000. The border wall project is underway despite lack of congressional funding. Estimates for the cost of the border wall have ranged up to $38 billion. The Department of Homeland Security is planning to pay for the prototypes with internal funds taken from other programs. Worker falls 40 feet down hold working on Trump wall prototype. That's a hole-in-one for President Trump. Well, more like one in the hole. A construction worker who wasn't paying attention fell down a 40-foot hole at Trump's border wall prototype construction site in Otay Mesa on Wednesday. The man was digging in the foundation for one of the wall prototypes at the time. Apparently, a double layer of plywood was supposed to prevent these types of accidents from occurring. Workplace safety? Check. The worker was walking backwards and not paying attention to where he was going when he plummeted 40 feet down into the hole. Workplace safety, unchecked. He was hoisted out of the hole and checked for injuries on scene. As he was okay, he got back to work. Construction of 8 wall prototypes began this week. 6 contractors from across the country have 30 days to complete their walls. As to who's going to pay for all this nonsense in the end, clearly, without a doubt, it's going to be Mexico.
The Beast gets an upgrade for Trump's inauguration. When he becomes President of the United States, Donald Trump will travel in an upgraded version of the Cadillac-branded limousine used by current President Barack Obama. According to Auto Week, the new presidential state car is expected to sport the looks of a Cadillac Escalade sedan. Known as Cadillac One, or by the Secret Service as the Beast, it will use a Kodiak medium-duty truck frame with custom-made body panels. The 7-seat interior is sealed to protect against a biological or chemical attack, with windows that can withstand armor-piercing bullets. The current edition of the Beast has 20-centimeter thick, heavy armor-plated doors and a reinforced steel plate running underneath the vehicle to protect it from roadside bombs. The presidential limousine has tear gas cannons and a night vision camera, as well as a pump-action shotgun. Extra weapons, an oxygen supply, and bottles of the president's blood type are also on board. The fuel tank is armor-plated and encased in foam to prevent it from exploding. The Kevlar-reinforced tires are puncture and shard resistant, with steel rims that allow the car to continue driving even if the tires are destroyed. The vehicle bears the American flag and the presidential standard while traveling domestically. When abroad, the presidential standard is replaced by that country's flag. The Beast will reveal its upgraded look on January 20th, as it welcomes the 45th President Donald Trump at the 2017 inauguration.
Critics are calling for a virtual Trump wall. As construction of Trump's prototype border fences continues down in San Diego, critics are calling for other options. Texas Sheriff Martin Queller believes a virtual wall at the U.S.-Mexico border would be more effective than a physical wall. Queller says building an actual wall would have to overcome environmental issues and deal with the abundance of privately owned land along the border. The sheriff has been looking for $92 million in funding over 5 years for a virtual wall that uses technology and agents on the ground as an alternative to the wall. His proposed virtual wall would extend around 300 miles from Starr County to Del Rio. Cost estimates for Trump's border wall range from $21 billion to $40 billion. Trump has repeatedly promised Mexico will pay for his wall. Sure they will.